This is Rock Leach with Social Fire. Now, it's been a lot going on in the news about Sean Diddy Combs, but is TD Jakes trying to steer clear of him? Oh, you don't want to miss this video. Now, there's been a lot that's been going on in the news, especially of late with the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. But we can't we can't just see the arrest and wonder, is Bishop T.D. Jakes' name going to come out of this? Now, I say that because we all remember and think back to December when different articles, different allegations were made about Bishop T.D. Jakes being involved in these freak-off parties with Sean Diddy Combs. Now, people was like, I mean, it was all kind of information circling around on the internet, pictures supposedly with him at parties being on the outside. That there wasn't anything that I saw that was explicit. Not that I would have been looking for explicit, but there are all these photos of him on the outside being dressed that didn't look like any freak-off party to me, which could have been anywhere. However, this was one of those instances where Bishop T.D. Jakes was guilty by association. Now, we look at several things, and this was something that came out back in the lawsuit where his name first came out, and this was a lawsuit that's been updated. I went back to look at the article, and they have updated it to say this story has been updated to clarify that Bishop T.D. Jakes was mentioned in the lawsuit, but was not named as a defendant. Now, what happens here is that this was the initial lawsuit, a civil lawsuit by Rodney Little Rod Jones, accusing Combs of and several of his associates of participating in a sex trafficking venture. And it goes on to say the civil lawsuit filed in the U.S. federal court for the Southern District of New York and obtained by USA Today on Monday. So it's going into all those things right here, but it goes a little more specific here with that article and says, what does it say about Bishop T.D. Jakes, Pastor T.D. Jakes? The lawsuit states that Jones has irrefutable evidence of Mr. Combs detailing how he planned to leverage his relationship with Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact of his public image of Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. Now, I want to go back to this right here before I go any further. Now, we all know this stems from Cassie Ventura and this supposed burner phone that she people, I guess, got a hold to, and on there was videos and pictures of Bishop T.D. Jakes at these freak-off parties that actually never came to light. Y'all, it never came to light. Right? It never came to light. And then I'm going to go even further here. You had other YouTubers out here who, Deal in the Mud, was having all kind of things like saying that they have text messages where Bishop T.D. Jakes was sending them to their people who they know, and they actually snuck in and took a picture of it, and you can go to my Patreon and I'll show you the evidence. And even the evidence that was shown was so manipulated and so obviously manipulated, they didn't even take time to try to get the manipulation right. And it was just terrible, talking about all of these groomings. And then what happened, talking about all these preachers grooming people, you know, the whole Vanessa Jordan thing and the other YouTuber or whatever, and I'm purposely not saying the name, this Vanessa Jordan thing, and he got all kind of lawsuits against him for robocalls and all that. Y'all remember all of this stuff went on out there, and then the YouTuber's own allegations, the one who was making the allegations, some truth came out about him with homosexual relationships and while pastoring, messing with, you know, underage little boys and stuff. It was a whole lot of things that came out, all these allegations and stuff. And one of the things that I noticed never came out was these photos, supposedly from that burner phone, these videos and photos. It never came out, never made it. There was all kind of manipulative stuff that was out there, people photoshopping different things, and it never happened. I myself, this is back when our channel was, or we're still growing, but I myself reached out to different people who I know from different agencies, and you can go back and watch the video. I named those agencies, and they said they hadn't heard anything about a Bishop T.D. Jakes outside of the speculation that people are doing on social media. But the only verified thing that they're looking into was Sean Diddy Combs. And fast forwarding all the way up to now, we see that this has come to fruition. All of that with Sean Diddy Combs have come to fruition. So I want to take a closer look at Sean Diddy Combs and look at what these allegations are that have been made against him, y'all, because this whole term freak off is something that is getting crazy. So it talks about they actually unsealed this sweeping indictment against Sean Diddy Combs and charged him with racketeering, sex trafficking by force, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Oh, wow. The indictment accuses Combs of being a ringleader of a criminal I can't talk right now, being the ringleader of a criminal enterprise that allowed him to sexually, physically, emotionally, and verbally abuse his victims. Now, it's really bad with the manipulation, with getting information on people, getting them drugged up, all kind of things like that goes on down here. The violence and different things. His staff and his associates who made up his alleged enterprise wielded the power of prestige, of Combs' name in order to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of romantic relationships, according to the indictment. Now, one of the things that I wonder in this indictment about Combs, and I'm going to get to the Jakes thing here in a minute, I wonder because I don't see anything about men, it happening to men, and we all, I won't say we know, but there's been a lot of people who've been coming out saying different things. Because the Lil Rod, that was one of the things in his civil lawsuit that he was talking about, is that it was harassment and there was, sexual pressure, different things of that nature that were going on. And so I'm wondering, with all of these things here, why they aren't mentioning any men, because I see it right there where they're talking about to allure, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's talking about to lure female victims into Combs' orbit. And that may have been for the relationship, the romantic relationship. But anyway, there are several things that went on here. The freak offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days. Wow. He had a demon. He's a monster here, and often involved multiple commercial sex workers who were at times allegedly transported across state lines or internationally. And that is where the sex trafficking thing gets really, really bad. When you fly somebody in going across state lines, it becomes a federal thing. But it's all kind of things that are going on here. Combs allegedly distributed drugs during these sexual performances to keep them obedient and compliant. He's a monster. He is absolutely a monster. Oh, wow. I see things here, before these freak off enterprise members, Combs staff and associates, the indictment said, would allegedly arrange travel for the alleged victims, deliver Combs large sums of cash to pay the commercial sex workers, and schedule the delivery of IV fluids. Like IV fluids, what is that about? Which both Combs and the women typically received afterwards to recover from physical exertion and drug use. Oh, wow, this is all crazy. The indictment also alleges Diddy would have his hotel room stocked with supplies, including drugs, baby oil, lubricant, linen, and lighting, I guess for the recordings that he was doing. According to the indictment, searches of Combs' home in Miami and Los Angeles, and y'all all remember when that happened, when they all went in there, turned up narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Listen, it's churches that don't have 1,000 bottles of praying oil. Here he is. This is crazy. He's a monster. Okay, I'm tired of looking at that right there. So, looking at this and going on, we've looked at several things when it comes to Bishop T.D. Jakes and how this goes and how this pertains to him. But I want to look at something a little bit more serious. There's a scripture that I want to bring up, which is the Great Commission, Matthew 28:19 through 20. And the NIV, I'm going to read that from the NIV, and it says, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." Listen, the Great Commission is what we were given. It is our responsibility. It's our assignment as Christians to go out and win others. Not only be won ourselves, but go out and win others. And that same process, it continues. When we look at this with Bishop T.D. Jakes, could this have been him actually trying to witness or minister to Sean Diddy Combs? Now, we know that Combs was going to use, and this all came out in that civil lawsuit. He was going to use his relationship with Bishop T.D. Jakes to leverage. He was going to leverage that relationship to try to make his name better. But what do we do? Because I'm looking at this so many different ways, y'all. It's almost you can be guilty by association. I want to know, and I want y'all to get in the comments and let me know. I mean, if you're trying to witness to somebody, minister to them, we're supposed to go to them regardless of their past. Sometimes you don't know what they doing. Most of this was concealed. I'm quite sure Jakes would have probably stayed away from him if he knew that there were freak-offs going on. I mean, I'm just saying. Sometime, and I've been guilty of ministering to people, and because I was ministering to them and somebody from the outside saw it, they started rumors based on what they saw, which it was actually not true. I'm just saying, how careful can you be? How careful should somebody be? And, you know, is this something that, because right now, as of right now, there is not anything that's saying, it's not even the conversation anymore about Jakes being guilty. I think the thing that he's really guilty of is being guilty of association, guilty by association, and Sean Diddy Combs being such a demonic monster at what he was doing. But I want to know, men and women of God, if you're out there, you're a man, and you see somebody who is homosexual, clearly, flamboyantly homosexual, and God moves on you to evangelize them, you know, will you stay away from them? Because clearly they are involved in homosexual activity. Well, you really don't know until you talk to them. I mean, are you going to stay away from them, or are you going to go with your assignment to therefore go and make disciples of all nations? All nations is not saying go therefore and make disciples of all nations, except if they have a bad past, except if they've done some things wrong. Where would you be if somebody could have saw your past before they brought Jesus to you? Where would we all be if Jesus only accepted us based on our past? I'm just saying, y'all, I want to know what you think about this, because this is a real thing. More than just looking at it and going off of the drama around Bishop T.D. Jakes, I really want to look at this from what do we do when it comes to how do you minister to people? How do you connect to people? These celebrities that's got all kind of ignorance going on, they need Jesus. And sometimes they'll want to come to you. What are you going to do? How are you going to address that? All right, jump in the comments and let me know what you think. Let's go.